So I'm going to build the Unchained Deck with just under $100. And let's just get right into the build. Okay, so to start things off, let's just look at the core of the deck. We're going to go with 3 Unchained Twin Aruha, 3 Unchained Twin Rakia, and 2 Unchained Twin Saramas. And next up, we'll put in 2 Abominable Unchained Soul and just 1 Unchained Solar Disaster. Just having 3 of them in total is great because you don't actually want to see them in hand, but you want to be able to search it out with your Unchained Twin effects. Moving on with the core of the deck, we're going to go with 3 Abominations Prison. It is the search card of the deck, so very important and standard to have 3. We're going to skip over Wailing, as that card just doesn't see much play because it doesn't really have a place in the deck yet. I thought it was still worth showing, but let's get him out of there. And last but not least for the deck, let's add the traps. We have Escape of the Unchained and Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, which 3 of each is necessary in order for you to start your plays with Rakia and Aruha. Moving on to the rest of the deck, we're going to start it off with Triple Tour Guide. Now this is the debatable part. Not everyone likes to run Tour Guide in this deck. I just think it's great for a budget option. You could just instantly bring one back out into the field, always leaving an Unchained Twin on board, which is what you really want to do. Moving on, we have Double Effect Veilers. I run this over the Gamma package just because it's less cards, it's 2 versus 4, and you'll see later on I play a card that I always call it's my 3rd Veiler, but more permanent. To the spells, we're going to add 2 Dark Holes. If an Unchained Twin monster gets destroyed on field, all of their effects will pop off. So even if your Unchained monsters get destroyed, there's always value coming back your way, and it is always enjoyable to get to play a Legacy card, which is a plus. Next up, we are going to run Forbidden Chalice over Impermanence. We're going to add 3 of those into the deck. If I could, I'd run Infinite Impermanence any day over Forbidden Chalice, but they are quite spendy. And so this is where we start to cut the corners. And for the trap lineup, we're going to start with Double Toronto Tribute. Much like Dark Hole, it just wipes the entire board. But the addition that it's a trap card and not a spell card, it's going to go perfectly with our next card, Triple Trap Trick. A phenomenal card in this deck because you run Chamber and Escape. Additionally, with the Torrential, you can search them out upon a situation and be able to utilize them. Next up, we have Triple Summon Limit. Because this deck just floats so well, it's never going to hurt you too much, as long as you keep in mind that you can only special summon twice, but it's per turn. So your main objective is to also start special summoning upon your opponent's turn, giving you more value than your opponent would. And so while they're locked into special summoning twice per turn, you are going to try your best to special summon also on their turn, giving you 3 to 4. And for the last 2 cards in the main deck, we're going to start it off with Imperial Order. This card just negates spells. That's really good. And with so many decks relying on their spell cards, this is the perfect card to combat that. While for you, it's not going to dramatically matter. And last but not least, we have what I call the 3rd Veiler, which is just Skill Drain. Because the Unchaineds pop their effects on field when they get destroyed, this card actually doesn't really hurt them as bad. And so let's just move straight into the extra deck. Starting it off, we have Triple Unchained Soul of Rage. This is your main monster whenever you go into your staple board setup. We have the Double Unchained Soul of Anguish, who you usually go into after using Rage's effect on your opponent's turn, linking off one of their monsters with Unchained Soul of Rage to get into a Dark level 3 Link monster. Next up, we'll just play the 1 Unchained Abomination. Although very good, it's not always necessary to have them. There are other level 4s you might want to see. In fact, you may never even need to get into a Link 4 period, besides Access Code Talker. But we're not playing him because he's just too spendy. But if you got the money for Access Code Talker, it will literally redefine how powerful this deck is. Anyways, enough about Access Code Talker, let's move on. We have the Nightmare package here, so 1 Cerberus, 1 Phoenix, and the 1 Unicorn. The only one you'll be using very often is probably Unicorn, as it can just go ahead and disrupt your opponent's plays instantly with Unchained Soul of Rage. The next package of extra deck cards we'll be running is the Topologics. So we have the 1 Trisbania, the 1 Zeroboros, and the 1 Bomber Dragon. Upon any given situation, if you really need them to come out, they just are a menace to work with. These are monsters your opponent has to immediately figure out how to get off the board. So they're great. Running now into the more off set of cards, we're going to go with the 1 Relinquish Anima. It's just kind of nice to be able to drop a Veiler, go into Relinquish Anima, and take one of their monsters for play. With that, we're going to run the 1 Decode Talker. I know, out of all monsters, we're going to go with Decode Talker. But he does seem to be a very worthy contender as your monsters float very well. You can kind of maintain a 3300 attacker on board who can negate card effects that target your monsters if necessary. And it is a Dark Link 3, so Unchained Soul of Rage can just go right into him. Last but not least, we have Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. With his recent reprint in the 2020-10, it's just too powerful not to want to run. He is a menace on board. It is so hard to get him off board. Another monster where your opponent has to immediately deal with. And so with that being said, that is the entirety of the deck. So I am looking at $96.30, just under the cut of $100, which is exactly where I want it to be. And I know I'm not adding sides into this, but I did want a deck where if you wanted to play the Unchained, you can just literally pick up this entire core here and just be able to play. Also, do note that the prices that I grabbed from TCG Player is from October 13th. So prices may have varied by now. It might be a little bit over, a little bit under, but I still think this is the way to go. I'm also going to go on the assumption that you've already learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And you know what the Unchained deck can do. If you don't, there are other numerous YouTube tutorials for that, and or just simply going to look at their card effects. All I'm here to do is just try to save you some money while being able to play them. Alright, so let's just get right into some plays. And so to start off this match against Dragoon, I am just going to go in set 3. It's going to be Rakea, Summon Limit, and Skill Drain. They're going to go Red Eyes Fusion into Dragoon. I'm going to activate both my back row to just hardlock them inside. And it's just going to attack over my Rakea, and I'm going to special myself into a Sarama off of Rakea's effect. And with that, they're going to end their turn. I'm going to draw into Prison. I'm going to use Prison to get Abominable Soul. And so by doing so, my theory is that I'm going to Dark Hole and be able to special summon 2 Abominable Souls, one from deck, one from hand. But I do get Solemn Strike from Sarama's effect, and so none of it goes through. And then so from here, they're just going to draw and pass. So I'm going to go again. I'm going to get into a Prison. I'm going to activate Prison. I'm going to go and search into Rakea, just summon and attack for another 1500 damage. So from here, they're going to draw into O-Lion and try to go into El Mirage into a Firebrax Verte combo to get into Dragoon, but it's not going to work. And I'm going to draw into Escape. I'm just going to attack over that, and I'm just going to set 1, pass turn. They're going to go to Magicalized Fusion, which brings them out the Dragoon. I'm going to activate Escape and target both Dragoon and my Rakea for destruction. I'm going to activate the effect of Rakea but be met with another Solemn Strike. And so I'm not going to be able to use that special summon. It's going to be my turn. I'm going to draw into Chamber, set, and pass. They're going to draw into Tour Guide. They're going to summon it, and from that I'm going to activate Chamber, which is going to allow me to special summon Abominable Soul, and from here it's pretty much game. And so for the second match, we are actually going to go against Dogmatica and Vote. So from here, I'm going to go into a very staple play. I'm going to set Chamber. I'm going to go into Aruha, destroy Chamber, special summon Rakea. Rakea will destroy my Aruha, which would then special summon my Sarama. Sarama will come out and set back Chamber and destroy Rakea. Rakea will special into Abominable Soul, linking them into Rage and then setting my summon limit for turn. And so for their turn, they're going to go into Meltdown, which will search out Alistair. I'm going to chain Chamber going into Abominable Soul. I'm going to try to use Soul to pop that Meltdown, but they're going to be using Super Poly into Starving Venom, which into Alistair, and I'll activate Summon Limit to lock them, and they'll just hit me for 1000. So it'll be my turn, and I'm going to draw into Torrential. I'm just going to set and pass, hoping that they summon another monster, in which they do. They'll go into a second Alistair. They'll be met with my Torrential Tribute, but they're going to go Invocation into Agodas, and they're just going to get in for another 2000 damage and pass turn to me. So from here, I'm going to activate Dark Hole and set my Imperial Order and pass turn. It'll be theirs, and they're going to go into Alistair once again. I'm going to use Imperial Order before they can even activate the invocation. They're going to go to El Mirage and then pass turn. It's going to be my turn again. I'm going to draw into Tour Guide. I'll summon. I'll get to special the Rakea. I'm just going to run over the El Mirage and get in for some damage here. It'll pass turn to them. They'll draw, and they're actually going to play all of their spell cards out of their hand, which is honestly an AI mistake once again. But I do have the Imperial Order, and I do win before they can even try to destroy it. So they go to Ecclesia, and they'll attack into my Rakea, which would then special summon my Abominable Soul and pass for turn. And from here, it's pretty much game. I'm just going to attack directly twice, which all they have left in hand will be a Fleur-de-Lis and an Infinite Impermanence, which won't do much if I'm just going to attack. And for the third match, I'll be going second against ABC Dragon. So for their first turn, they'll be going into Union Carrier and IP Masquerena, and I'm going to try my best to break their board. So my strategy going into this is I'm going to use Dark Hole, and they're going to go IP, and I'll go right into Forbidden Chalice to negate the IP and just destroy both their monsters. I'm gonna go into tour guide and be met with infinite impermanence, in which I still want to end the board with an unchained monster, so I'm gonna destroy my tour guide just to special summon my Aruha, and I'm gonna set Imperial Order and pass. They're drawn to terraforming, and I'm gonna activate Imperial Order to negate the terraforming, in which they'll go into ABC Dragon. They're gonna attack over my Aruha, special summoning my Abominable Soul, and I'm gonna discard a card to destroy it. They'll pass turn, bringing it back to me. I'll summon my tour guide, bringing in Sarama, and just get in for some damage here. And so from here, it's pretty much game. They're gonna take their turn, specialing out into a Photon Thrasher, attacking my Sarama, in which I would then special summon Unchained Solar Disaster, taking their Thrasher, going into Rage, and ending the duel. And now that we're back, let's just take some time to talk about the actual deck. Is it the best? No. But it is somewhere you can start with, competing and taking some possible wins. It is by no means perfect, but with just $100 again, it's really good for what you pay for. Granted, this is just all my opinion, and really, what do I know? If you haven't seen some of the deck plays that other people has built, I suggest you looking into it, because some people has built a phenomenal version of this deck. Although it can be kind of pricey, it is still a lot cheaper than some of the other competitive meta decks. It'll probably get more support in the future, and it is a rather new deck. With the deck just coming about a year ago, I would think Konami would print more support for the deck later on, therefore always leaving continuous room for improvement. So if you like to play a deck that plays through a grind game very well, I would heavily suggest the Unchained. This was round 3. If you want to support more content like this, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel, as I plan to build more decks just under $100, talk about budget deck theories, and just continuously helping those who want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! On a budget. Leave a comment down below on some feedback for me, or leave me a link into your own Unchained budget deck theories. I'd love to see them. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next round.